There's something that almost nobody says out loud. It's this quiet truth that just kind of gets lost in all the noise of the season.
I mean, while some of us are talking about big dinners and gifts and parties, a lot of other people, they're coming into this time of year with a really tired heart. People who've lost someone, or those who are just far away from their family. People going through an illness, a tough financial spot, or even just a loneliness that nobody can see, but man, you feel it so deeply. So look, if this year Christmas just doesn't feel joyful for you, if what you're feeling instead is silence, or nostalgia, or even just a deep sadness, well, this is for you.
Welcome to Razonando la Fe. This is a space where we try to think about faith with a bit of calmness, with some depth, and, well, above all, with humanity.
So let's dive into this a little, right? Sometimes it really feels like we've turned Christmas into some kind of emotional test. The message we get is basically, hey, if you're not happy, there must be something wrong with you. But you and I both know life just doesn't work that way.
The truth is, so many Christmases aren't filled with laughter and parties. They're lived in quiet rooms, during long shifts at the hospital, at jobs that just don't stop for the holidays, or maybe at a dinner table that has an empty chair this year.
And listen, feeling that way, it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you ungrateful, and it absolutely does not make you a bad person. Actually, that's exactly the kind of Christmas that God gets, that He understands.
To really get this, let's go all the way back to the very first Christmas. Because there's this really important detail we tend to forget about the birth of Jesus, and that is, it was not a perfect event. Not by a long shot.
I mean, think about the reality of it. There was zero comfort, no security, no one was clapping. He was born in the middle of the night, in a place that wasn't even theirs, surrounded by poverty, with parents who were exhausted, and just so far from anything that felt stable.
And this isn't just some small detail, it's everything. It means that God didn't wait for the world to get its act together before He showed up. Nope, He came right into the middle of the mess, exactly when things were not okay.
And maybe that's kind of how you feel today, right? Maybe you just don't feel like God is close. Maybe you pray and it feels like you're just talking to an empty room. Maybe your faith just feels dry or cold or distant. And you know what? That's okay. That is so human.
See, the thing is, faith isn't always this big, warm feeling. Sometimes it's more like a quiet resistance. It's just putting one foot in front of the other even when you don't feel that immediate comfort. So many of the saints talked about this, They called it interior nights or the silence of God. This experience of having to walk on even when you don't understand a thing.
And yet, even in all that silence, even in the middle of that struggle, God was still there. And this idea of quiet resilience, it's not just some old story. We see it all around us every single day, in these really human moments. Just think about the person who keeps dragging themselves out of bed every morning, even though they are just bone-tired, completely exhausted.
Or think about the person who spends all their energy caring for other people, but there's no one there to care for them in return.
And what about the person who puts on a brave face, who manages a smile in public, but then they cry when they're alone?
That person, you, if that's you, you're not abandoned. Because Christmas isn't just for the people who are bursting with joy. It's also, and I think maybe especially, for those of us who are just quietly resisting, holding on with dignity.
So if you're feeling alone this Christmas, I really want you to hold on to this next part.
God did not come into the world for the strong. He came for the tired.
He did not come for the people who have it all figured out. He came for those of us who are walking with our doubts. And He did not come for the ones who shine so brightly. He came for those who can barely, just barely, manage to stay on their feet. So if today all you feel like you can offer is your exhaustion, your silence, or even just your confusion, please know that that is a gift too. In fact, it's a profound and incredibly honest one. Thank you for spending this time with me here on Razonando la Fe. My hope for you today is that you can find a little moment of calm for yourself, maybe just with a warm cup of coffee.